Right now, our site visitors can submit a form to our PHP file. Our PHP file receives that information and displays it on the page, all 3 fields in a continuous line of text. We'll eventually need to send all this information in the body of an email, so let's modify how it looks a little with some text and some formatting. Open your htdocs directory and the contactprocess.php file. Before we echo out the name here, let's echo out some text to describe the data. I put a space inside the quotation mark there because I want a space between the word name and the value from the variable. We could do the same for the other fields, adding separate echo commands before we echo out a value. However, it is possible to echo out a variable and a string together in one command using what's known as concatenation. To concatenate 2 things is to arrange them together in a chain. Let me show you some examples. The concatenation operator in PHP is a period. You can concatenate 2 static pieces of text together, like this, to echo out ice cream. You can also concatenate 2 variables together, like this. You can mix and match these, also concatenating variables and static pieces of text together. While I'm using the echo command with concatenation here, you can also assign a concatenated string to a variable in this manner. Let's combine these 2 echo statements into one, concatenating the label name and the variable. Let's concatenate labels in front of the other 2 fields also. Save this file and switch back over to the browser. Click the back button and submit the form again. We now have our labels in place. The text is still not that easy to read because it is all on one continuous line, but these labels definitely help. Let's next add some line breaks. The echo statements are already on separate lines, but there's no line break in the text that gets echoed out to the browser. We can add line breaks using an escape sequence. You can't exactly type a line break character in the code here, but you can use a sequence of characters that PHP will interpret as a line break. We can add that sequence at the end here, concatenating it to the name variable. Let's add this sequence after email also. Save these files and switch back to the browser again. Click back and submit the form again. View the source on the page, and you'll be able to see the line breaks. If we wanted line breaks to display in the browser, we would have to use a break tag to achieve that. But since we're going to display this in a plain text email message, we don't need the break tag. What we see when we view the source is what we'll see in the email. There is an HTML element we can use to have the browser display the whitespace. You wouldn't normally use this in a real web page, but it's helpful when working with PHP code values. It's the pre-formatted text element, or pre-tag. We can wrap this whole block of PHP code in a set of pre-tags to see the whitespace in the browser. Before we do view it in the browser though, let's change one last thing. When we send out this email, we're going to need the entire body of the email in a single variable. We can't echo out the variables one at a time like we do on this page. Let's create a new variable called email body. We'll set it equal to a blank value to start. Now, instead of echoing out this next line, let's add it to the end of that variable. To do this, we assign the email body variable a value equal to itself plus the text concatenated to the end. We can modify our code to add the email address and the message lines to our email body variable in the same way. With all the text for the email body in one variable, let's go ahead and echo it out to the screen for testing. Let's save this file and go back to the browser. Click the back button again and submit the form. There, that looks much better. We can see the real value in our PHP variable, line breaks and all, now that the browser is displaying it inside of a pre-tag. We covered a lot of ground there, looking at concatenation and exploring how whitespace gets treated in different places. I have a quiz for you, and then we'll get back to our contact form.